Good morning, everyone. 9 a.m. We'll start the Thursday, November 14th golf committee meeting. Nice to see you all. So do we have any minutes to approve?
We do. Did I not send them out by email?
You did, but probably been a while. I remember reading minutes.
Yeah, next golf committee meeting, yes, on November.
Oh, there they are.
Yep.
Okay. Any discussion about the minutes from September 10th? All in favor of approving?
Aye.
Okay, so we have approved those minutes. Thank you for good parents. Continuing business. So the irrigation project. So I just spoke to Mark Purple to get an update. So he said the bid preparation process is proceeding. I guess they're waiting for one more piece of information from National Grid, and then they'll have enough information to put the project out to bid, which he's hoping happens in the next couple of weeks. And then the bid has to be out for 30 days, it turns out. And then once bids come in, then the select board makes a decision, assuming, that there are acceptable bids. So Mark just said that it might be possible that on December 17th, at that select board meeting, that it might be possible for the select board to vote on the project at that point, or on accepting a bid. So I think that's the earliest that something could occur. But so hopefully it's within that sort of time frame, late December or sometime in January of actually getting, an approved vendor to install the new irrigation system. We did get some information that I think I forwarded to you guys. I spoke to the fellow at Audubon International about general guidelines about what to be thinking about when installing an irrigation system like this. And so that's been incorporated into this bid package, I believe. And those all seemed like good practices. So I don't know that there's anything else to discuss about irrigation at this point. Any questions or comments?
Originally, did they think that they would maybe be able to do it this fall, but it looks like it's going to be.
Well, Mark said, depending on weather and depending on the vendor who's chosen, maybe they could start some work over the winter. I guess it just depends on.
Okay, on whether the ground is, yeah.
What are they doing? But certainly it looks like it's lining up. Assuming the pricing is okay and there's a good vendor, for this to occur early in the next golf season.
That's what it's kind of looking like.
Yeah.
The installation spring.
Maybe installation springs. I think we just have to watch the process, but maybe it could start earlier. Again, just
and not being. I'll plead ignorance to this. Is that something that the course would have to be closed?
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
It doesn't going to take that long a period of time. Actually, the piping, the course is kind of easy. They just slice it and put it in. The pump and stuff might be a little involved. I'm hearing stories about there's a pump going on.
There's a pump somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, over at the fence.
Yeah.
Off the street. And I don't know. I'm hearing they want to build a building there, put the pump in. I don't know how true that is.
I just guess my question was, if it is postponed till spring, will that affect the 2005 golf season?
A little bit.
I guess we'll just have to see. I mean, if it impacts it, I suspect it doesn't have much of an impact.
You'd have to live with that stuff.
Yeah.
I
mean, we've all seen those big machines where they drag pipes around and then install beds and whatever. So I don't think it's that complicated or that intrusive.
No.
So we'll see.
I think the big part, they're supposed to they want to increase the size of the pipe off of Lattice on the road. I don't know if we got a 2-inch feed, I think I'll go 3 or whatever. And that would go to the pump. And all I heard was they don't want to put the pump outside, so they're not gonna build it. What scares me is the money we got, how far they'll all go. But we'll find out.
Harris,
We're still watering, by the way. But
you'll promote him to Jonathan Swear, Stephen Harris. Bill, can you hear us?
Tony?
Bill, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you great. Thanks for joining.
Oh, okay. No, I've been, here listening, to the start of the meeting, and I guess just a few comments. It's sort of, good news that this project's moving forward and possibility it could be approved by December 17th. As you said, you know, will certainly depend on weather conditions, how deep the frost goes, and whether or not this could be completed over the winter and early spring, prior to the golf course opening. I think the only important point to keep in mind is the golf course needs water at all times, pretty much from April 1st through November. Hopefully that the waiver will be favorable. The contractor has sufficient staffing to move the project forward and have it substantially completed by April, or at least, you know, the main lines all tied in, so we can have it for most of the 2025 golf season. The salesperson that works for Carl is giving some updated pricing that should happen next week. The cost of the labor, I'm surprised, has increased quite a bit over the last 2 years. But hopefully we can still get this project done within the amount that is that's budgeted. I will get those updates to the parks list, to Mark Purple, as soon as I receive them in the next few days or week. And I think we'll be pretty much good to go on that irrigation. John has spoken to Melissa and is working on getting approval from the conservation for the crossover for the Brooklyn number 1. And I don't believe there's any other conservation issues impacted by the project.
So thank you, Bill. Hey, so you know, it sounds like you're sitting in a tin can. The audio is not ideal. I don't know, is there some way you can change what you're speaking into?
I'm not sure, but
All right, well, we can hear you, but it's kind of hard to hear you. Okay, any other discussion about the irrigation project at this point? Okay, well then we'll just watch that proceed. Again, that'll be a great outcome for the course. So continued effort to minimize wayward golf balls. So Bill, so we talked about trying to move some of those trees from next to the parking lot, but it doesn't look like that's happened.
no, 2 reasons. Most of the trees on one side, obviously the side that is up against the woodland there, is not great. So number one, there was concern about removing those trees where, you know, the backside of the tree, which way it'd be facing, and it would certainly look unattractive. More important, with these drought conditions, there was, you know, more concern about trying to transplant these trees at this time of year, given the extreme drought conditions. We went further and spoke to a nursery about what the cost is to purchase new trees and what that cost would be done with the trees of the installation. And they recommended as well, don't even think about putting the trees in now, just with these drought conditions. You know, you should be holding off till the spring or sometime next year. To do that, so, I think it's something that we'll revisit later. You know, many of those trees are very difficult to get access. They're in the middle of the parking lot. And a lot of the ones on the ends, the backside of the trees, is not very attractive.
So do you think that rules out using any of those trees even in the spring then, Bill?
I will take a look at them, you know, I'm back for the holidays and take a look at them. And have to speak to probably somebody else to get their opinion on whether, given their condition that they can recover if they are transplanted and in a position where they're getting, you know, more fertilizer, more water, and more sunlight. And, whether that side that is not attractive can, turn out to be, you know, return and be there and look attractive.
Okay, well, maybe that path won't work. So, okay, well, I guess we'll see where else that leads us then. So we had our on-site meeting. And we talked with the neighbors and we talked about fencing. We wanted to go down the path of exploring options for putting in a taller fence right there next to, what is that? Fourth green,
End of the third, yeah.
end of the third green,
Yeah.
the end of the third green there, but we kind of ran into a roadblock, so we really haven't made any progress there now, right?
Right.
Right, we need to find someone who can give us an opinion and maybe a price on doing this.
Yeah,
work,
so we
right?
do have two quotes from John Allen, and I shared them. One is, they're both about 10,000. It's for a 12-foot tall green mesh fencing. And
Is this replacing the creek fence?
no, this is simply a
Just that
new,
area
a
that's
new
open.
fence. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Do they say how long it would be, the length?
I'm trying to look at the quotes, and it looks like it's 120 feet wide, which I'm surprised because I thought that area we measured it was only 60 feet. But yeah,
What is that green mesh? What does that mean?
it's just the fencing material.
So it's like what's there already, like the chain link kind of looking or?
No mesh. It's netting.
Netting, okay.
So it's more
That is-
like what's between the
That's what the estimates are for. Yeah.
four?
And this is removable,
Yes.
and a height that we think the Public Works Department could deal with then? I forget, there seemed like there was some challenge there.
Yeah, I think that, I believe that John Allen would be raising and lowering.
Okay,
fence.
Bill, did you hear that?
I'm not familiar with, we just looked at so many, number of different things, so the proposal you're referring to is to, put netting, not fencing, but netting for the area, to the right of the fourth green and extending across the fourth tee. It is approximately 100 feet, as I recall, and, aluminum pipes would be installed and the netting would be approximately 10 or 12 feet high. Is that the understanding?
That's about right. Yep.
Okay,
And your understanding is that John Allen or the team here on the course could put that netting up and take it down? Is that right, Bill?
I would say he probably could not take that up, given the height of that, without some kind of assistance from Public Works that has the equipment to.
So we're talking a height of 12 feet, and maybe even 10 feet, because the poles are gonna be buried, so it may not be. It's certainly not gonna be any higher than 12 feet, but that's something that would require DPW assistance, is that what you're thinking?
If it gets much higher than 10 feet, I mean, we've done one before, you know, that's been 8 or 10 feet, that just protected cars at one of our locations, and John was able to, take that down, each winter and put it back installed, put it back up in the spring. But that netting should be, I would assume, I'm guessing now that the public works would then put in poles. And we have the netting manufactured to that size, is that sort of the plan?
So the DPW has not agreed to install poles. They have recommended that we get estimates that include installation.
Okay,
And the two estimates that John Allen presented or sent by email include installation at a price of 10K.
okay.
One's, yeah.
Wait a minute, I don't remember seeing that, but I may have, I get a lot of emails, so I may have lost track of that. So could you?
September 12th, it's in your email dated September 12th.
Okay, thank you. Okay.
It's on the town, right?
I don't just see that,
Yes, so I don't have that.
Okay.
Now, maybe I deleted it, which is entirely possible. Oh, I have something from the 16th. Mr. Fence Inc.
Yep,
quote? Oh, September 16th.
That was the third quote, actually. Yep. So one is Southborough. Let's see.
Mr. Fence. Supply and install 120 feet of 12-foot high black wire on galvanized commercial frame with 4 rails. Remove and hold all fence included by. Okay. Okay. And help us all remember here. So was 12 feet high enough?
So that's a very difficult question for any of us to answer because we're.
So I shouldn't ask it that way. Do you think that's what we agreed to with the neighbors?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Well, what was the gentleman's name? He wanted,
So that's a separate topic.
Yeah.
that
Okay,
we haven't
this was
talked
just-
about. We're only talking about,
Gail.
yes.
Oh.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
That's right. Okay, so there's one, maybe if you wouldn't mind, Rosemary, you could send out the other quotes you had again.
Sure.
Sorry if I
No,
lost
it's
track of that. So if it was on the order of 10K, and if they were 10 or 12 feet high, then is the remaining question in our minds, or are the remaining question of who could take it down and put it up each year? You think John Allen agreed to do that, Rosemary?
That was what I understood, but Bill is telling us differently. So I think we need to circle the wagons and get everybody on the same page with that.
Okay. So Bill, is it okay? We'll check with John Allen and see what he says. Is that all right with you?
Yes, I'd like to, again, I think maybe we could make a decision at the next meeting, I'd just like to see the proposal, we review the proposal. I have no recall seeing it, it says black wire, which I'm not even sure what black wire is. Typically we would use netting, that could withstand a golf ball, number one. Usually we would do netting that has cables on the top and cables on the bottom. So that it's, you know, secure and easy to take down and remove. The netting is usually bound at the top, bottom, and sides when we have that, manufactured. So, I would just like to review with John, the product that is proposed and confirm that, he's able to take this down at the end of the golf season and put it up at the start of the next golf season.
So I mean, that serves the town, obviously. It's perfectly reasonable to come back to this again at the next meeting. Make sure we've all had a chance to review the quotes again. Make sure Bill and John are comfortable and make sure that, you know, with what's proposed, and then make sure we have a path to actually, operate the fence. Put it up and take it down. So, okay, well, if you don't mind sending that all that out again, Rosemary.
Sure.
And then we can all review it some more. And we can come back to this again at our next meeting.
Okay.
Is there any more discussion on that right now? Anything else we should try to explore in the meantime so that we can actually, I don't know, have a decision next time?
Not for this particular project. I think we've got 3 perfectly good quotes. The Mr. Fence quote actually came in at 17K, I'll just say. But yep.
Oh, there it is. Yep.
So, yeah, I think we are ready to make a decision. I think we've got 3 viable choices.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, good. I think we all agree. It'd be great to try to do something there, see if we can make an improvement. So. Okay, so that's that topic on minimizing wayward golf balls. And then there's the
We
7th grade.
yes, thank you.
I think he was gonna skip right
I
over
thought-
that.
moving on, yes.
No.
It was a good try though.
So, what a deep breath you have.
Then there's the 7th grade. So I continue to have an opinion, but what does everyone else think? What are people contemplating now about the 7th grade?
It's a much harder. It's much harder to decide what to do because the trees that are there are in the way of us building any really tall fence. And the only thing that I think would be effective is a tall fence. I really am perplexed. I'm not sure what's the right path forward.
I don't
Does
even
anyone
know how
else on the committee have an opinion?
Yeah, I don't know how
Rosemary,
tall
do you?
you'd have to go,
Well, we have a 12-foot fence there now.
and they're
it's-
going over it.
Yeah,
And I mean,
I
there's
don't see how
trees,
fencing works there.
no,
just
because
don't.
it becomes too high and too
Yeah.
ugly and.
Yeah, it'd be 200 feet tall, and we've all stood out there a couple of times now. And,
Yeah.
all right, well, so in thinking about this more, and I said this when we were all on site, but I have to admit, my opinion continues to be, and I know this might be controversial, but to move the green. I just, you know, I don't know that there's, and I know it would cost a lot more money and it changes the historical nature of the course and, you know, blah, blah, blah. But at least in my opinion, that would be a way of having much more confidence that fewer balls would leave the course. Just
I
make the
don't know
whole,
that I buy that, just from, I guess it depends on where you're moving, if you're assuming you're moving it more to the left.
you'd be moving it to the
People are
left.
slicing, it's just gonna go over the fence in a different spot, and you're just moving the problem, not.
Yeah, maybe, so, and maybe this is not the way to go, but standing there, I mean, you'd have to move it a lot to the left.
Yeah.
You'd have to
And
make
then how you
it
start
And if you're
shorter
shooting
hole.
it at the people coming down.
Then you
That's
get the
right.
people
You'd
coming
be
down
aiming
from
at
the
the
other
people on the
side.
course. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's right.
And then perhaps does that put that house that we were just talking about, does that put that house in danger?
Which house?
The one right at behind the green, the current green.
So standing there, and maybe we all have to go out there again at some point, but I personally was just picturing a much shorter hole. And a green much to the left, like over adjacent to, and it would be a risk then for the landing zone of 8, for sure. But it would be,
Old growth tree there.
yeah, so I picture sort of like in front of it, right? You know,
Where
to
it was like little sand.
yeah. You just move it. You move it like 100 feet away from the road. So you're not aiming, I mean, so maybe some balls would still leave the course, but it just feels like, oh, and so maybe not, right? But it just feels like a lot fewer balls would leave the course then.
Could you instead almost put the tee box in a batting cage type like,
Yeah.
so that. I don't know,
We've all
I don't
sliced
slice, so
balls,
I don't
right?
know how it goes.
Yeah.
I
But
can
does it
very
go
effectively play a
directly?
slice, and so, no,
Does it-
right, it starts straight and then
Then
it
it
curves,
goes,
right?
okay,
Yep, yep.
So then
I think that's an interesting thought, but yeah, I think it starts straight and then it curves,
okay,
yeah,
I didn't know if it went straight that way, yeah.
yeah. Well, I appreciate that you're playing a power draw, and so that's great, but.
And I'm just afraid that, you know, like you said, that's very expensive. The most expensive option would be probably to move the green.
That's right.
And then after you spend all that, if it, you know, balls just, you know,
Just
go into the
moves the
fairway of the,
problem.
yeah, the fairway of the eighth hole, or,
Or at that house,
Yeah.
or.
I mean, I
it's gonna
think
be-
to do that, we'd have to be really convinced this would solve the problem and not create another problem.
We're never gonna get to 100%.
No, we're not.
So
we're
we need
not.
to be realistic about that.
Yeah.
And are we discounting the fact, I seem to think, I don't know, I think more trees would help. I do. I think if you,
Do we know where it goes over? Like, does it go over, there's like sort of, again, it would help to be out there, there's sort of. A break in the trees and then there's more trees, and then. At the end, would it help to extend the fence, would it help to bring the
There's
fence
no
there,
tree.
like, where does it go? Where
You know,
does it slice
standing
the
there,
line?
as I recall,
Uh-huh.
but you know, there are. You know, when it's a long, challenging par three, right? And if you're playing a fade, right, it's gonna cut through like almost any of those trees.
Okay.
Right? I mean, we've all hit balls through trees, right? And there are a couple of sort of gaps along the way with some of those bigger
I
trees.
just wonder if with
and-
some of these trees, you know, I don't know, I personally, we play butternut all the time, there's trees everywhere, and you're playing in the spring, the summer, and the fall, when there's leaves on the trees for the most part, and I just think that, you know, it might ricochet off, but it maybe it wouldn't go directly into his yard over and over again. If you had, you know, the more trees, the more branches you have, the more branches, the more leaves you have, so I'm just thinking that maybe.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And nobody, I don't think anyone out there, like, I'm not, maybe we might use our driver, but a guy is not gonna go up and use his, you know what I mean? So I don't feel like they should be line drives. You know, it's not a direct straight on, it's a slice. So I'm thinking, you know, if you're up there and you're using a wedge or you're using a 9, well, you know what I'm saying?
No, I know exactly what you mean.
know what, yeah,
Well, I'm just thinking about my
the
power
ch-
fade, yeah.
The chances are that it with some more trees, like I remember seeing some spaces.
Right.
There
And
are
if-
spaces.
Yeah, and if we could fill
But
them
there are
in,
also spaces in like, I don't know how a tree would grow in some of those spaces, right? I mean,
that's
right? I
true,
mean,
the
you know, I
shade,
mean,
yeah,
because there are mature trees there. I don't know, like, how would a new tree even grow up? Unless you planted a 100-foot tall tree, which we're not gonna do.
right,
So you'd have to plant a small tree. Can it even fight its way through the existing canopy
or
to
we,
put up more branches and leaves
or
or
we just
whatever?
plant those cell towers that look like trees.
You know, at the end, Tony,
Yes,
there aren't any trees after you get up towards his house.
Yeah, no, once you're at the
Yeah.
green, there are no trees. But I don't
Yeah.
think that's where the balls are coming from.
No,
But
no,
it's that guy, shoot, the guy that's further up beyond the end of the
Yeah,
fence,
he-
he's the one that's complaining, so.
Yeah, no, I thought it's the house, I think, right? That's sort of like right
Yeah,
next
it's
to
the end of the
green.
driveway,
Yeah, at the end of the driveway.
right.
So would
So tell you what,
more.
I know this is, unless, so Bill, you've been listening to, I don't think you have any new ideas here, right, Bill?
I'm sorry?
Do you have any new ideas? You've been thinking about this for 3 months. Any new ideas on your side?
On number 7, no, again, I think, you know, we had the architect out there, we looked at it, he was opposed to moving the green, that, they're probably not going to, you know, accomplish a lot. And you also run the risk of errant golf balls, being hit off, number 8. We've also talked to Brian Silver, a well-known architect about the golf course, and, he, worked at this golf course for years, and, knows a lot about golf course design, and adamant about, keeping the golf course, the way it is and not making any significant changes to the golf course. I think the person, the neighbors on 7, most of them the area charts, or the majority of, I think anyway, are hitting the trees and bouncing into his house. It's not like it's a direct line and golf balls are, you know, shellacking
Not
his house,
featuring.
breaking windows or damaging his car. I think most of them are getting reflected off trees, bouncing on the street and bouncing into his yard. And, there's no easy solution to any solution really that we can come up with that's gonna eliminate all the golf balls going over there. I think part of the problem, and it's not a problem, it's good for the town and good for the operator, is for years, 15,000 rounds were the norm. And we were down to 12, 1 and 9 running construction, and we're gonna do 30,000 rounds this year. So you're doubling the traffic, we have a lot of new golfers out there. And new golfers, and you're gonna get a few more golf balls,
Right,
being hit.
It's-
So fortunately, no one's been hurt, injured, or really any property damage to speak of.
I think. I'd like to explore more the idea of grooming the trees, just cutting a line straight down the side of the fairway and building a 50-foot tall fence all right along the side of the street. So it would be on the golf course property. We would have to groom the trees so that we could actually build the fence that high. But I think that that's realistically the only practical choice that could prove to be the most effective.
And
Okay,
how-
so this, but does it have to be a fence though? Did you go to Sandy Burr?
Yeah.
To protect those houses on the left, I think it's the 10th hole. They just put up like just netting, but it's pretty massive. But I mean, it's high up and I think it curves because they actually have, I
So
think,
that's what I'm thinking is that when you get that high, it is a net.
yeah, okay. Okay,
But then it would be permanent.
It would be permanent.
yeah.
It wouldn't be something that would be
I
raised.
don't
and
recall,
lowered.
did we explore that with Ed when we were on site? I don't remember.
Yep, according to the minutes that we just approved.
Yeah,
We did talk about installing a 50-foot tall fence along the 7th fairway to groom the trees and install a 50-foot tall fence.
yeah, I mean, I think we all have great empathy, as
We
Bill just
do.
said, right?
We surely do.
12,000 to 30,000 rounds, that's a huge.
Increase. Yep.
Huge. We have to find some path there.
So those are the options. I mean, we talked about the 50-foot tall fence. We talked about moving the tee boxes to the far left. We talked about moving the green to try to impact the golfer trajectory from the tee
Yeah,
box.
moving the tee boxes, it's just, that's a non-starter.
Yep.
Yep.
So we're
So,
down to, I guess, so far, maybe 2 options
yeah.
that we'll continue to debate.
Can I throw in a third or
Oh, yes, please.
probably get shot from John Allen, but I had discussed, and I don't think this is a cure. Let me say up front, I agree with you. I don't know if we can
Don't
stop.
keep us waiting. I can't wait to get.
You get the green where it is now.
Yes,
If you're familiar where the tree is,
that big,
The
the
big
big
tree.
tree. Yep,
and there's a couple of sand traps.
yes.
Yeah.
Been there.
All right. I don't know if we're talking 20 feet. I'm not sure what the measurement
Yeah,
off the green is.
Yep.
What if we extended the green over 20 feet?
sure.
And a
Oh,
little bit,
don't move it, just extend it,
extend,
make it a bigger green.
right, instead of putting the flag, let's say the flag is in the center of the green where it is now. Okay, the center of
So,
the.
I've thought about this too. Sorry to interrupt. Oh, absolutely. I've thought about, well,
Yeah.
make the green bigger and only put the flag on the left-hand side.
Right, it'd be more-
No.
And so sure, I mean,
it would be
but I
kind of
just
in
don't know
the
if you
center.
can move it far enough to matter, but who knows, right? We're just kind of
Right,
speculating.
no, it's
And
something,
maybe it's that, and I mean, there is another option, which is to dramatically shorten the hole.
That's
Yeah.
what that's what you
Right.
said, no,
So,
not the tee box.
oh, I thought it was, we were talking about move the tee box to the left. I think that's a really bad idea personally,
Oh,
but
I
move the
think
tee box
up.
forward.
Yeah,
If instead of a 180-yard shot, it was a 90-yard shot,
yeah.
then I think you would dramatically change.
I
the
think
play
I
on the
think it's an
hole.
interesting idea.
Maybe, I don't know, I said that to him, and I still think you're gonna get people that are just gonna
I think you will still have
I
some,
think
but
it
I
would
bet
reduce
you
it,
it's
though.
way, just my opinion,
Yeah.
just way
The
fewer.
shorter the
Yeah.
club,
At
the less
100
wind.
yards instead of 180 yards.
Yeah.
That is a tricky shot. Right? I mean, it's a
Yeah.
180-yard carry to the green along a road.
Right,
That is a
Lays
tricky
longer.
shot.
but I do agree that.
Not many amateurs have that shot.
But if you look at the, well, I mean, speaking, someone who finally did go over that fence, I never thought I could. I went, wow, and I didn't have a lot of sympathy for the poor gentleman, I'm like, do you even golf? That never happened, I'm like, oh my god. That being said, I wasn't, the tee box now is aimed right along there, that's
Yes.
why I'm thinking, I like your idea, just because if you did, then the tee box would be,
I would
you
think
know?
that that would also have an impact, but I talked to Bill about it, he's not convinced that that would have the effect that we think it will.
Doing what?
no, I didn't mean moving the green, I just,
Changing, no, yeah, just,
oh, changing the trajectory of the
Yeah,
tee box
actually-
to the,
Move the tee
Guy-
box to the left?
no,
no,
no, just the
no.
green to the left, move.
making the
make-
green
oh,
bigger.
Sure, I
Yeah.
mean, I think every foot the green moved to the left,
Would
1%
help
fewer
something,
balls
yeah.
would cross
That's
the
kind
road.
of what I'm thinking as well, but.
But who knows, we're
Because-
making up numbers.
And I just say this, being someone who, I mean, I golf a lot, but I am by no means a pro. And like my husband will say to me a lot, he said, you realize like where you're lining up? Like because the amateur tends to just line up wherever the tee box is.
Well,
Yeah,
wherever the marker.
Exactly, and if it's like,
Yeah,
this, even
ignore
if
that.
you shouldn't,
Yeah.
you should learn to ignore it, but people don't, so I'm thinking that. If you have the
just
green
move.
longer and people are aiming this way, I do think that, if you made a bigger green and you aim the tee box a little.
there's an interesting notion there, so I guess it's possible, we talked about building a box around the tee box. It might be for some players, if we just put a fence right along like literally right along the tee box. A big intrusive, like overbearing fence, that it might change your psychology about where you aimed that.
I absolutely think it does.
That might be.
I just
I
think it
might
might,
thought
be.
about additional sign, I know there's a sign there, but like additional sign, like.
The additional signage there now is ineffective. I've seen
Yeah.
it multiple times. People go over the fence and then they drop another ball and they hit a second one from there. They don't go to the drop area as instructed by the sign.
right,
Oh, they hit another one over the fence.
Yeah.
I've caught people doing that.
yeah,
They hit another one over the fence.
We're
That's,
not there,
that's
you know what I
right.
mean? I
Yeah.
can't
We're
figure it.
eternal optimists.
That's
out
what I
there.
would
Yeah.
do too. Yeah.
I can make this shot.
I mean, I could be
Players
wrong,
are
I just
always
think
better.
that might be the least inexpensive thing to try first that doesn't really. You know what I'm saying?
I kind of like the idea of actually moving the tee box to that drop area.
Far up is that drop area?
About halfway up,
So like move it, make it 100-yard shot.
yeah.
It'd be way cheaper, and we're just brainstorming here, obviously,
Mhm.
but it'd be
And
way cheaper to build another tee box.
You could even, I mean, they do it on all the golf courses, you could even for a while do a temporary
Temporary
tee
tee
box.
Just to see.
Just
I mean,
to
they
see,
keep
as
doing
a
that.
test.
I think that that's a really good first step. Because we're still, struggling to come up with a good
Yeah.
solution.
Yeah.
And I just did a 50-foot fence, netting, whatever.
I mean, it's a
think the
par
neighbors
three, so just
like
make it a
that's
shorter
so
par three.
ugly,
It'd certainly be easier
Yeah.
to move the tee box. Wait,
Bill, what are your thoughts on that?
I think we've been to, the architect looked at every option, he's looked at moving the T left, he says that's a terrible idea. And.
We don't wanna move it left, we wanna move it forward.
And.
Yeah, move it forward. Did we talk about moving it forward dramatically, like to the drop area?
Well, I think that would ruin the whole. I mean, one architect said it would ruin the golf course, but I wouldn't go that extreme, ruin the golf course, it would ruin the whole, I mean, it.
We're still gonna golf there, don't worry.
What a joke. It's a
Plenty
good
of
park.
Yeah.
fancy courses have 100-yard par threes, it's not.
Absolutely. absolutely.
That's
I mean,
not-
I play a golf course all the time that has 105-yard par three.
Yes.
Just love
And,
to make
and
the
and you
shot.
can make it challenging. I know there's the historical nature, blah, blah, blah.
Well, we've also
But you can
changed
make
the
it
first
more
and the ninth
challenging
hole.
with traps and other things,
The
right?
first and ninth hole have had to be
No,
changed,
we
so
don't
it's
need
not
more
like it
traps.
hasn't,
That's right, I
yeah,
agree.
it's been redesigned
That's
already,
true.
yeah.
All right, so I have a proposal.
Yeah.
I propose that we
Can we go
all.
out
No,
now?
that's a helpful discussion.
No,
No, I just propose that we all at some point over between now and our next meeting. Take some time and go over there and stand there and again, think about some of these options. Picture,
Every time I'm there.
moving the tee box forward, try to think about like 50-foot fencing again. And think about if we wanted to build a new green, where might you put it? And let's come back to it again. I mean, this is such a challenging topic. We're not gonna rush through something, but I think we all have a real sense of like, we ought to do something here. Instead of, we ought to do something. You know, with rounds tripling nearly, something needs to change for some of these neighbors. Okay, let's do that. Excellent.
Okay,
I had a topic which is not on the agenda, the Audubon International activity.
okay.
And so I've chatted with Freddie a lot over the past 3 months about this. And I also spoke to the guy who's in charge of the program at Audubon International. He sounds very nice. I think we actually got a bill from them to rejoin the program, which it's not clear to me that's been paid yet, so I will check on that. But when it's been paid, then we're going to form a committee. And so I'm going to chat with Freddie some more about how we're going to do this. There are a lot of options about how we actually do that. And so when I have some more information, then we can all talk about it and decide how to proceed. So just in the background, a lot of discussion about Audubon International. I think. Are there any other topics before we go to
Yes.
public comment or question? Yes.
Oh, before we go, no, not before we go to public comment.
I don't think we have any other.
Hey, Tony, just a couple
Yes.
of things that we're working on. One thing that we discussed, I think, before, we're working on is that cart path on the first pole. You know, before you get to the brook there, the last, 75 yards, all washed out. And John is, working with Melissa and getting, approval to restore that cart path and extend the cart path because it's extremely wet down the whole entire area at the bottom of the hill before the brook. And we also want to look at, on a sort of a plan in place where, where we've gone from 15,000 rounds to 30,000 rounds. There's a lot of these tees that are just way too small. A number of tees we built ourselves, when we're 12 or 15,000 rounds that are forward tees that are just way too small. And there's a significant amount of people that now play the forward tees, which is surprising. People used to think of forward tees as the women's team, it's only women playing, but there's an awful lot of seniors and even beginners that are playing these forward tees. And if you look at the fifth tee, for women that play the fifth tee, they're not playing the back tees or the eighth tee. The second tee is another one that's just way too small. That we need to start a program to earmark some of these funds that are paid to the town to reconstruct these tees that can accommodate these golf course number of players, because there's really nowhere. The middle of the fifth tee is nothing almost but dirt built for 6,000 rounds, and now you're getting 15,000 from forward round. So we built them for maybe 200, 300 square feet, and it could be 800 or 900 square feet of these forward tees.
So Bill, I think that's a really interesting topic. And absolutely, with the incredibly increased number of rounds, there should be bigger tee boxes or more tee boxes.
Yeah, I'm
Just
hearing
to-
tons of complaints
To
about. the tee
preserve,
boxes are all dirt.
yeah, I mean, I play too, the tee
Yeah.
boxes are rough. So,
They're just,
and so, and certainly with the irrigation then coming in, right? I mean, there's an opportunity here to just have it be a much more pleasant experience for everyone and have more tee boxes. Makes the course more interesting. So how do we take us, I don't know. Do we just put that on our agenda for next time to further the discussion, or is there some step we take about exploring more tee boxes? How do we think about that though?
I think it's a good idea. I think the one that's probably the eighth tee box, you know, the back tees there, they're in an environment that is just awful, very difficult to grow grass. They need to be larger there, which includes not only the back tee, but the forward tee on eight, that would certainly be the starting point. Obviously, funds are a factor, so I think it's nice to fit on a program where let's do, you know, earmark $15,000 or $20,000 a year to construct some forward tees over the next few years.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Do we have to re-engage with the architect to like come up with proposals for where we put tee boxes or prioritize them, or do we do this, or do you guys want to do that? How do we come up with, like, you know, if we had the money, what are the 5 tee box projects we would tackle in the next couple of years?
You would want the architect to specify the exact size of the tee, the location of the tee. We're doing, you know, 4 new tees at Pinecrest. He's over there at Pinecrest. I'm sure he wouldn't mind taking the 20-minute ride over to Southborough and while he's here and you know, labor us out for the minimum fee. But he's doing, you know, 4 tees. We're doing $125,000 worth of tees this year, another $125,000 of tees next year over there. These are bigger tees, you know, 3,000 square foot tees and totally reconstructed, so they're a lot more expensive.
So are we talking making the current ones bigger or adding or both?
I think it's both. I think it's, you know, at least what I don't know. I think we have to be open to this, right? But it could be adding to or making or adding more or reconstructing existing ones. But I can see all sorts of tee box work being done on the course actually over the next 5 years. You know, absolutely.
To, you know, put together bid specifications and for the tees, construction documents, you would need an architect to do that work.
So do you contact the architect and ask for a proposal, or do we do that? Who kicks off that process, Bill?
I did have him, you know, put together a proposal.
If you would do that, please, and then we can all look at it, and I'm sure we'll have questions.
Okay.
All right, that's a great topic.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, any other business?
So there's just the public comment, as a follow-up to our September meeting when we're all on the course, there was the request for additional signage, to promote more, I would say, civility, I guess.
Yeah. Yes, I chuckled because how do we get people to be more civil? Yeah.
Yeah, especially these days, it's difficult. Respect for neighbors, pedestrians, fellow golfers, and staff members is what is suggested. And at the very least, you know, one easy thing that we could do, and I don't know how many we have in stock, but the scorecards could use an update, right? We could have some sort of statement on there. Bill, do you have any idea of when you're going to be placing another order for scorecards?
Yes, I was just going to say that we'll be placing an order over the winter, so any information you would like on them, more than happy to put it on the scorecard.
So how about this then? Why don't we all take a look at the scorecard and come up with what we would add to it, and we'll then talk about it at our next meeting, and then will we make it in time for your order before?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yes, I wouldn't put the order in until probably, I can wait probably as late as January to put the order in.
Perfect.
So
Okay.
Bill, do you have an electronic representation of the scorecard that you could send us so we could all be looking at the same thing? There must be a PDF or something. What's the source of the scorecard?
The scorecard's on the website, and I can have my office, I guess, email it to you.
If you would do that, please, then we can all look at it. We can all look at it online, and then we can debate potential improvements. I like that.
Okay.
Okay. Excellent. Anything else on anyone's mind this morning?
That was all I had. We do need to schedule the next meeting.
Yes, great. How do you guys want to think about meeting again? Should we try to meet in December? Seems like maybe we should. There might be something about the irrigation project to discuss, but what do you all think? A Thursday morning, Thursday the 19th
Of December.
of December. That work for everyone?
Yes.
Okay, let's plan on that then.
All right, 9 AM here.
Yeah, 9 AM here.
Each time you get approval though, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Excellent. Okay,
Great.
then I think we're all set for
I-
today.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I second.
All in favor?
All right,
Thank you very much, everyone.
thank you, Bill.
Thank you.